back. It's B Show Brian. B stands for big, it stands for early, it stands for whatever the hell you want it to stand for, but I'm back. Live in a living color. We are played in by Whitebed Audio's Devil's Eyes, and I apologize, but I'm a little bit overwhelmed because it's been a while since I've done this, and I'm going to make this more of a regular thing. Whitebed Audio is your source for royalty-free music. There's a lot of cover-ish, or inspired, I should say, tracks that you can use for your projects. Just give them credit. Whitebed Audio, you can find them at whitebedaudio.com and on YouTube. But I am the Frankenstein of the podcast world. I am taking concepts and mashing them together, and also throwing my hat in the ring as far as reviews and reactions go. Thank you for joining me again. Thank you for staying with the channel. Everyone who's stayed subscribed and given me positive feedback, even though I haven't done this in a while. Thank you very much. I mean that honestly from the bottom of my heart. Shout out to the Necromaniacs. If you want another horror podcast, they review horror movies every single week. The Mike's good guys. Mike Scandato is a great friend of mine. Necromaniacs is your place to go. So check them out. Repping the shirt this week. So this week, and I plan to do this weekly going forward. My schedule has gotten better. I'm not going to bore you with the gritty details, but I'm back for a while, and I should say for good, hopefully, on a regular basis. And I may be joining Break the Apocalypse from time to time once again, but I'm not going to spoil any surprises. 100th episode's coming up, so we'll see what happens. However, I was not planning on coming back and doing any podcasts, especially around the horror scene, just yet. I wanted to wait until some things settled out, but fortunately I busted my hump and got through some things at work and freed up some time. So, at midnight, on July 14th, 2022, I wanted to tackle something that I was going to stay far, far away from. Growing up as a kid, I watched Nick at Night. I went over to my grandma's when I was a kid. She let me do whatever I wanted, watch whatever I wanted. You know, she'd order pizzas, and we just hang out and watch movies. And I watched Nick at Night, so I'd watch, you know, the staples. You have your I Love Lucy. I think there was Bewitched, which was okay. But one show I really, really liked was the Munsters. And it was one of the first shows. It's one of those gateway shows, and I'm finding my son has them. I forgot to put my hat back on. There we go, Shaheen, if you see this, because I know you love these hats so much. Toast, salute. It's hot as hell in here. Some things never change. But I liked the Munsters. And it was one of those gateway things, as I was going to mention. My son is about 4 or 5 years old, and there's some shows that he likes to watch. Disney shows and haunted specials of like Toy Story and Pixar films. They have like Halloween specials that come out, and I'm sure we remember those from when we were kids. And he likes the scary stuff. He likes the Halloween-centric stuff. He's definitely my kid for sure. But he's not quite ready yet for the other stuff because he's still a little nug. So that was one of my entry points, whether it was Tales from the Crypt or The Outer Limits, the Munsters, Addams Family, certain things that you could watch that were that gothic horror centric. You know, it was offbeat, but you could still watch it even as a kid because it was funny. It wasn't scary. So I'm not going to carry water for this show, but I hold it a special place in my heart. I used to watch the Munsters and liked the show quite a bit. In fact, it was one of the only shows my father-in-law and I had in common when we first met. He thought I'd like the Munsters, and I guess he thought I was pretty cool. But so it really, really has caused me, that feeling, that whole scenario, to try to keep this Munsters thing, this Rob Zombie's The Munsters movie, at arm's distance. And I was going to take the Cinemassacre route with Ghostbusters, the female version, and just do a non-review. But people are starting to talk about it. The trailer's coming out. Shaheen, my ex-co-host at Break the Apocalypse, he's done a review on his channel. I always watch his stuff, but I didn't want to review it until I had a chance to see it. And I'm going to try to be nice. I've done podcasts before. They're All Dead with Mr. Positive, Benny Slash, and we've talked about Rob Zombie. I'm not a huge fan of his as a director. I think he's a great artist. Visually, he has a style that it's hard to argue. He's very talented, and he goes back a long ways. I'm just not a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Halloween. I'm going to talk about Halloween next week with some news coming out about Halloween Ends. I'm not a huge fan of Rob Zombie. Not just what he did to Halloween, but other movies that I've watched that have just been terrible. There's some that I really like. There's a few of them. But then I heard he was doing the Munsters, and I just, nothing sounded good that was going to come of it. So I tried to keep it at arm's distance. I tried to keep away from it. It's unavoidable at this point. I didn't want to not do anything and sit this one out, and I figured since I really enjoyed the original Munsters, I'm going to try not to shit all over it. I'll be honest. But that may still happen. So we'll see. All right. Yes, it was a comedy. So if it's campy, I'm not going to rag on that because that's what it was. I've seen some stills. I'm going to hold some comments, and I think we should just dive right into it because I was a fan, and I know it's not going to make me happy, but I think it's worth a shot, so I'll try. I'll give it the college try. Here is Rob Zombie's The Munsters. And of course, he went for the old Universal Pictures logo. Even, when did The Munsters come out? 60s, 70s? Were they still using the Universal Pictures logo then? Or was this from the 30s? I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking now.
Rob Zombie, the director of House of a Thousand Corpses, Halloween, and The Devil's Rejects, brings you the greatest love story ever told.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that.
I'm with you, Bill.
The brain of a super genius transplanted into the body of a perfect physical specimen.
I want a man that makes my blood run cold. A man that every time he enters my crypt, it's like a stake through my dead black heart.
I promised myself I wasn't going to do this. I promised myself I wasn't going to go in on Sherry Moon Zombie. I honestly feel bad for her to an extent. It's not her fault that the dude she fell in love with became a director and wanted to cast her as his muse in his movies. It's not her fault. It's not her fault. It's not even the dialogue. It's the delivery. It's just... I love Star Wars. Hayden Christensen was terrible in the prequels, man. I mean...
I can whip you up a humpy down in the lamb.
Oh, no. Remember what happened last time?
He was batty.
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
If anything, Sherry Moon Zombie still looks really fucking good. How about that? There's the olive branch.
I'm looking for a vision, a queen, true love.
What exactly do you want?
Is Herman Munster in there? I knew the moment I laid eyes on you that you were special. I understand if you don't feel...
I know Herman was a goober in the original. But these two... This is what I was afraid of. I like the color. I like the clashing. Like you can see the purple and greens. Rob Zombie is a great artist. I like visually his style. However, they look like two Hot Topic or mall goths who have a joint Instagram, who are posing for a picture. They look like two like Hot Topic influencers.
the same. I'm just a regular gal living a boring, normal life.
That's rough. That's rough. I'm going to try not to harp on it. I'm not going to harp on her. I'm going to talk about the situation. This is exactly why people get on her so much. because much like when people get upset about Star Wars, and there's a lot of babies out there. There's a lot of babies. But people talk about Star Wars, which I will talk about from time to time on this channel now, because I'm going to start talking about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. You're taking something that people liked or something that had a track record, and then you're putting people in positions that aren't necessarily up to snuff. Not to say that Lily Munster, what was her name? Vivian, I don't remember what her last name was, but she was the greatest actress in the world. But like, to use a wrestling example, the Young Bucks are a really popular tag team in wrestling. Excuse me. They do a lot of stuff in the ring that a lot of people can't do because they're tumbling acrobatic athletes. But they could never be, because of their physique, because of their lack of ability to emote or tell a story, they could never be stars in any regular era of wrestling. So what they do is they shit on it and they make fun of it and they make light of it so that it's like, haha, tee hee hee. And there's a lot of horror comedies like that. So I'm not going to single out, Zombie and his ilk, but there are a lot of horror comedies that I've seen that are like that. And it's almost like you want the cool kids to accept you. It's like the fat kid, or the I won't even say fat kid. It's like the kid who has a lack of confidence, and he has a friend or two that are popular, and they bring him around, and they laugh at him, and he makes fun of himself to try to ingratiate himself with the popular kids. Kevin Smith. This movie is Kevin Smith. Okay? Pre-vegan Kevin Smith, funny as hell. Kevin Smith, who finally got accepted and is seen as the cool kid and sitting at the table, he's not funny anymore. I like him, but he's not the same. And I know people grow and change, but that's what this is. This is Kevin Smith. Like, I'm a fan of Munsters. That's Kevin Smith pre-vegan. This is vegan Kevin Smith Munsters. How about that? It seems to me, and I read an article that Zombie was going to go very campy. And people were saying, oh, he's going to lean into it. It's the PG-13 campy horror stuff like Psycho Goreman. But there were great performances in Psycho Goreman. That kid was amazing. The young girl was amazing. Her dopey brother was a great foil for that. Even the parents, though their performances were purposefully awkward, it's not like you're just watering down the subject material because the cast ain't good. I haven't seen, I like the grandpa. The grandpa seems fine. I haven't seen enough of Herman, although I'm not getting good vibes, but not good so far. You guys want to see it too. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want me to put it out of your misery.
If there's one thing I know, is that the rest of the world melted away.
Like that whiny, like, it's gonna run away. I know I'm really nitpicking, but like Fred Gwynn, right? He was a goof and blah, blah, blah. It had the mannerisms, and he was, but he still had a command presence because he was a big guy. But this guy he seems like a dopey dude who met a gothy chick at Hot Topic, so he like started dressing goth, but he's not. Like me, I wear black and band t-shirts and obviously Necromaniacs, but like I'm not a goth. So if I dressed up as one, they could tell I are not one.
As soon as you appeared in my life,
it seems Miss Lily is truly in love.
Oh, come on, you know and I know that we gotta get rid of that bozo Herman Munster.
Yeah, he just seems like a goof, and not a good way. Like, Herman Munster was a goof because the joke was he's this big, lumbering, scary dude, but he's kind of a goof, and he's an endearing goof. This is like annoying guy my daughter may bring home from school to meet me one day, and I'm like, And again, Lots of style, lots of color, lots of filters. I like it. I like the look. I like the look of the show. I like Grandpa Munster. I like the idea of the show. I didn't say it because I got distracted by doofus Herman Munster. But I like this idea almost being a prequel because I'm not a huge fan of prequels, but I'm even more sick of straight ahead remakes. And in this case, I like the idea of Grandpa Munster not wanting Lily to be with Herman because he thinks he's a douchebag. So I kind of like that aspect of it. Probably not going to watch it, but that's my impression so far.
Greetings from Transylvania. That's a strange way of saying hello.
Oh, I guess we're gonna have to get used to it.
There you go. Follow it at the Munsters TV, at the Munsters Movie. Swing and a miss as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not just trying to say that from a old, curmudgeon-y, like, it's not what I would have done. Because honestly, I didn't give much thought to what I would have done, which is kind of ironic because of what I do on this channel at times. Just, oh man, that did not look good. Let me scroll back. Like, again, if we're going to judge this, here, let me see if I can get a bigger, no, not me, bigger, dick. Like, I love this style right here. Look at how much is crammed in this one shot. You have the stained glass window, purple light filters, pinkish light filters. You have like the almost dead looking flowers. It's kind of washed out browns, greens, earth tones. And then inside the coffin, you got the browns and the blacks or the teal and the black and the blues. And she stands out. Like visually, it's a really, really impressive shot. That right there too. I mean, it's a very cool set, and obviously something that wouldn't come through very well if you shot in black and white. I'd like to pull up the old Addams Family set because when they shot in black and white, it looked different. See, I'm not a fan of the LEDs being present, but I get it. I even like the irony of like, we're going to put a genius brain in this perfect human specimen, and then he comes out like a doof. I get it. It's Herman Munster, but I don't know, man. It looks really good. It looks good visually, but that's everything Rob Zombie. Visually, it looks good if he's not shaking the camera around everywhere. It's photographed well. It's lit well. Stylistically, I really like it. It just always, in his movies, comes down to the performance. And I'm not a fan of Lily or Herman, and when that's your two leads, doesn't leave you much room to hang your hat on anything else. Like that right there. Cool looking castle. Got the amber colors and the green deathly colors underneath with a big crescent moon. I mean, lighting, it looks good. Visually, it looks good. Really like this shot here, except they look like influencers. I mean, that's what it comes down to for me, is it doesn't look like a sitcom. It looks like two Hot Topic influencers posing for a selfie for their Instagram. That's how I'll sum it up. It's vegan Kevin Smith, and it's Instagram influencers. Gross. What did you guys think? Are you looking forward to Rob Zombie's Munsters? Are you looking forward to this version of Lily and Herman? Is there anything redeeming that I missed because I've got blinders on? My God. I'm trying not. Like, Sam Hyos from the Red River podcast, he's amazing. He posted this in the Horror Nerd Discussion Facebook group earlier, and he's not shitting on it because he's a very positive guy, and I thought I'd take a page from that. That just ain't me. I grew up watching the Munsters. Obviously, I wasn't born in the 50s or 60s, but I grew up watching the Munsters with my grandmother, and that ain't it, dog. What is it? Randy Jackson from American Idol? The Samurai Sword signed by Randy Jackson. Like, I like the idea. I like the theory. I like the concept. It's just casting. And that, unfortunately, is a theme throughout Rob Zombie's films. That's the Munsters, folks. All right, I'm out of time. I still wanted to squeeze in the recording of the news for the Halloween ends, because there's been some developments that have come out, so look for this on the channel. I didn't want to take too much of your time with this, because I'm trying to think of any other movies or any other directors that have this track record where I'm a big fan of theirs from a visual standpoint, and sometimes even a concept standpoint. Like, I like removing Halloween 2 from Halloween, from the franchise, from the mythos. I like some of the choices he made visually, artistically, even concept-wise, with Halloween 2. Just not in a Halloween movie. I think Devil's Rejects was one of the best horror movies of the mid-2000s. I say that 100% with no hesitation. But this just, man. 31. I think I watched 31. Benny Slash and I watched it and reviewed it for They're All Dead back in the day. I might try to put those archive shows up because there's some good stuff in there. But it really, to me, is hit or miss. But visually, he's got a vision. I don't know what else to say. I'm just belaboring the point, but I'm out of here. Got some other stuff to do to send you guys' way. Stay tuned. More stuff coming. I'm B-Show Brian. This is the channel. I don't even know what the fuck it's called anymore. We'll figure that out. See you soon.